Now you may say, all right, Doug, 2 appointments a day. Let's say you're working, it's your first year. You should be hustling at least 6 days a week for my argument. And so that's 12 appointments a week. And you may say, how am I going to accomplish that? Well, the prospecting is going to lead you there. There's no doubt about it. But I want to talk to you about like the different types of appointments that you could have. Welcome back to the podcast, and today I want to talk about the question that so many of you have, and that is, what am I supposed to be doing every day? And that may sound like such a simple question, but that seems to be the question that I hear over and over and over again from real estate agents all across the country that say, I have ups and I have downs. And yes, the business is a bit of a roller coaster. We know that. But what am I supposed to be doing every single day? The days that I have opportunities, the days that I have appointments, I know what to do. But what about the days that you don't? And so what I want to do is I want to challenge you to think through how you're going to implement what I'm going to give you today. And that is the 6 events a day that if you stick to consistently, you just stick to those basics, you do them every single day consistently, you will hit your goals. Now, I find that many real estate agents, their goal is they want to make $100,000 in their first year. And I think that is extremely achievable with a lot of the right ingredients, right? We can agree that you're going to need coaching. We can agree that you're going to need accountability. We can agree that you're going to need leads. There's a lot of ingredients that you need to make you that perfect cocktail that's going to take you to the next level. But let's also, before we dive into these 6 events, I want to think about the alternative for a second. I spoke to a friend of mine the other day, and Levi Rogers in Texas, and he said something really interesting the other day. He had a customer that said, he runs a big team, and he had a customer, his customer, which is his agents, right? That's who he serves, just like I do for mine. And he had an agent that said, hey, I'm not really certain that I want to run with this particular lead. And because it's a lower price point, it's really far out there, but at the same time, this person, I believe, I don't know if they were actually doing it or he was just comparing, but he said, have you ever taken the time to sit down and think about the check that you're about to make and how many hours you're going to put into it? Levi took this agent through this exercise, and it found out that the guy was going to make like $40, $50 an hour for the time that he had spent. And there are agents out there that say that's not worth their time. Well, I want to challenge you to think through the fact of you have an option. You can either be a successful real estate agent and hit your goals, do the basics each day, or you could go get a W-2 job that pays you hourly, maybe a salary. Chances are you have a better opportunity being in the industry that we're in. So first off, congratulations on choosing the right opportunity. But let's not let our egos get so big that we think we're better than certain things. We got to take it into perspective. So what I want you to think about for a second as I get into these 6 events is if the goal potentially in your first year is to make $100,000, hit that 6-figure club, then what you got to think about is I have to work as if I was in a 6-figure job. And so these 6 events a day that I'm going to ask each and every one of you listening this to do is to think, if I had a $100,000 salary job, is it unreasonable to be asked of me by my hypothetical employer to do these 6 events a day? And I do not think it is unreasonable at all. So let's dive into this. I want to give them to you now, and then we'll break them down. So the 6 events are, we need 2 prospecting sessions a day. We need another 2, so this will make 4. We need another 2 appointments a day, meeting with clients for opportunity for future business. Then we also need a shadow, so that'll be number 5. You need to shadow someone, a peer, a mentor, someone you look up to that you could learn from. And then number 6, we also need to make sure that we're getting our role playing in each day. Now, so those are the 6 events. I want to dive into them, like a deep dive into these 6 events. And I'm going to start with prospecting. So when it comes to prospecting, so many agents out there, they operate off of a CRM, Boomtown, Follow Up Boss, Sync, Commissions Inc., Sierra. There's so many of them out there. You have a CRM if you're in this business. Your broker probably provides you one. If you don't, you need one. You need to have that tool that's going to tell you who you need to call next. But then you got to use it. You can't just have the fancy car and not know how to drive it. And you got to operate each day, and you got to be on the phone and have conversations. Now, if you know that conversations are going to lead to appointments, and appointments are going to lead to offers, and offers are going to lead to contracts, which ultimately helps us make that income goal that we're reaching for, we got to make sure that we do those activities every single day. And I'm going to challenge you to do 2 prospecting sessions a day. Now, you may say, hey, Doug, what's a session? Define that. Well, I would say a minimum of an hour, but I think there could also be an argument for more. It depends on your pace. It depends on your experience. It depends on what you're capable of doing and how many people you're capable of touching each time you reach out and prospect. But I would argue that there's an early morning opportunity there, and then I think there's an end of the day, late day. I know there's a lot of statistics of when the best time to make calls are. If you're that person that's overthinking it, stop overthinking it and just choose. Have your own data put together, because you're going to find out in 2 weeks probably when the best time to call for you is. It's not just about for the consumer and when they're going to answer the phone. It also has to do with your energy level. Is your cup full enough at the times you're calling? I've found even shooting these videos and these podcasts, I remember years ago when I started playing with this and I had scheduled them for the end of the day. Well, I was exhausted at the end of the day. I was wore out. I was lacking energy. So I realized my best use is going to be to do these in the morning. So you may find with prospecting, that's the time when you do the hard first. Prospect the people that you don't know who's going to answer. Save that second prospecting session for end of day when you may have some idea of what the outcome might be. You know, you might call those people those hot leads that you're more likely to speak to, and you can set those appointments for the next day. But 2 prospecting sessions a day, that's the first step of this 6 events a day that's going to lead you to the success that you absolutely need and want. So now let's move on to the 2 appointments a day. Now you may say, all right, Doug, 2 appointments a day. Let's say you're working, it's your first year. You should be hustling at least 6 days a week for my argument. And so that's 12 appointments a week. And you may say, how am I going to accomplish that? Well, the prospecting is going to lead you there. There's no doubt about it. But I want to talk to you about like the different types of appointments that you could have, because you may not be able to land 2 times 6 days a week an appointment to go show a house or an appointment to go list a house. So I'm giving you permission to recognize that any appointment is a meeting with someone that could lead to future business, a referral, a sale, a listing, maybe a big whale if you're working for those builders or working with attorneys that could give you business, or any other source of business out there. It could potentially lead to it. So it could be the coffee meetings. It could be the lunch meetings. I found always take the meeting though. People ask me sometimes, like, I'll have an agent reach out to me and they say, hey, Doug, I kind of want to pick your brain. Well, for my role, I've always obviously would like to grow my company, but I'd also like to learn something new, and I don't know what opportunity it could lead to. So there's many times I've taken meetings. I took one this weekend. An agent said, hey, can I pick your brain? Not with my company. And I said, sure. Met him on a Saturday morning. The individual I met with is not likely to join my team, but it is likely to lead to a future relationship that I got to help him. He may help me one day. I call that an appointment. That helped me check off one of mine for Saturday on my list too. And so every opportunity you can have to get to earning income or opening up the door, getting the opportunity to do so, is very valuable. The old saying of the definition of luck, some people, you hear them say they got lucky, they landed that big deal. Well, the definition of luck is when opportunity and preparation meet. So if you're prepared for the opportunity, call it luck if you want. I like getting lucky. So second round of this is 2 appointments a day. Every opportunity counts. Do not get held up on, I didn't get to open a door. Too many people are just too focused on the finish line, but enjoy the journey. Okay, you're going to learn lots of things along the way, but you're also going to open up more doors and get a little lucky every now and then. So that leads us to, so we got 2 appointments. We have our 2 prospecting sessions. Now let's go to the 5th one, and that is going to be shadowing. So some of the best agents on my team, heck, even myself, spent an absolute amount of time shadowing other agents when they got started in this business. And still to this day, some of my best agents still go out and shadow their peers on opportunities. And so you may say, well, who do I go shadow? I don't know anyone that hangs their license in a brokerage that's brand new that they're the only agent. If that is the case, you might rethink where you're at, or you have an absolute rock star mentor because there's one person that you went for. So I just want to challenge you to think you need to be surrounded by people you have opportunity. A team, very easy to do. I would even argue a brokerage is very easy to do as well, because there are rock stars underneath the same roof that you share right now with your peers that have an appointment probably today. And if you have nothing going on, I would argue there's a great opportunity for you to go shadow that individual. Ask them for a favor and say, hey, is it okay if I can come along and watch how you do the art that you do with people? And, at the same time, I think you should also prepare them and let them know, and you got to follow these rules. I will be very quiet. I won't be spoke to unless I'm spoken to. And if a consumer asks me a question, I'm going to respond, that's a great question. What do you think, mentor, that I'm shadowing? And you're always going to hand the conversation back to them, because the only thing that's going to stop you from shadowing other people is if you don't know how to keep your mouth shut and you ruin the opportunity for the person you're going with. So you want to set the tone for them and let them know that I can play by really good rules, and because I'm here just to learn. Now, let's think about the types of shadow opportunities you could have. There's the obvious of showing a house for the first time. There's the obvious of a buyer presentation. There's the extreme obvious of going on a listing presentation. But I would argue where the real magic happens is when you're shadowing someone when they're on their 5th meeting with the buyer that they're trying to find a house for. Or maybe that agent has a great relationship with that person, because I've seen this happen before too. Newer agents say, hey, can I come shadow you? And the veteran says, you know what? You could, and I'd be happy to help you, but I know this person. It's going to be a lay-down appointment, and so I don't know if you're going to learn a whole lot. If they're open-minded to letting you still come, those are the ones you really want to go on, because you want to see not just how to handle the person that doesn't know you, but you want to know, even my best friends that have called me up and asked for real estate advice, I still have to educate them. I still have to set the expectation on what's going to happen next. Many agents often, they just think because we're friends, the customer and I may be like friends, that like they're just going to roll along with me. No, those people still have questions too. And I have to set realistic expectations, even with the people I know that's closest to me, to make sure that I don't have a rocky road along this journey that we're about to go on, helping them with their real estate transaction. So every shadow opportunity matters. You do not want to miss out on the whole spectrum of opportunities that you could go on. So shadow. Again, I can't hammer hard enough on the fact that how you're going to get these shadow appointments though. You want to make sure that you set the bar high, that you are going to be a great mentee. You're going to be, they call it a shadow for a reason. You're not supposed to say anything. You're literally the shadow. You're like, here's the spotlight, here's the agent, and you're going to stand behind and you're just going to make sure that you're learning, but you're not going to mess up their appointment. So make sure that the veteran that you're going to go shadow understands that. Also think about looking for a variety of different people to shadow. There could be the luxury agent on your team or in your office. There could be the one that's high volume, high units. There could be the person that works with a lot of investors. There could be the landman or woman. All of those opportunities are going to be really good for you. So I can't hammer on shadow hard enough, because that's where the magic happens. I know for my first year, I probably shadowed my dad on 100 appointments, if not more. I had to have been more. Absolutely had to have been more, because it was a whole year and we were busy. So it was probably closer to 300 or 400 appointments now that I'm thinking about it out loud. But then some of our best veterans on our team also did the same, shadowing me, my father George, and others in our team. And those guys are rock stars now because they did that shadowing. Now, that leaves us with the sixth task. The sixth task that's very, very important, and that is role playing. So why is role playing important? It's very clear to me that if you know exactly what to say before you're in the moment that you have to say it, you're going to have the success that you need at a higher level than you would if you're winging it. If you put yourself through an exercise and you drove down the road and you just said, I'm going to call every real estate sign that I see today. Let's say you're out and about, you're showing houses, you run across a sign and you picked up the phone and you called and you said, hey, I'm curious about the house for sale over there on Banana Street. I would bet that the majority of if you made 10 of those calls, I bet maybe 2 of them would go very smoothly. 8 of them, they would probably say the wrong things. And what I mean by saying the wrong things is they'd probably say a lot of information about the house. If they could figure out the information on the house, that's probably the one that drives me the most crazy, is you call about a house and the agent can't figure it out because they're answering the phone in the car and they don't know how to use their app for the MLS. They don't know information about the house. It's kind of embarrassing. So by practicing and role playing, that's going to put you in that top 20% that's going to allow you to say the right thing on the phone when you're on stage being talking to a real client. So think about the previous times you have answered a sign call, for example. I'm just using that as an example. You can think of all the inbound or outbound leads that you talk to, and you think, did I really have my stuff put together there? Did it sound like I knew what I was talking about? Because the consumer is listening to you, and subconsciously they're judging you. Some of them are consciously judging you. You're just trying to find the information on the phone sometimes about the house that they want to know about, but they are at minimum subconsciously judging you to decide, is this a person that I would want to work with? And so I'll give you a couple little pro tips here. When someone calls you about a house and they say, hey, I'm calling about the house on Banana Street, what's the price? Well, chances are you might have the price memorized if it's your listing, but you probably don't have the square footage memorized. You probably don't have some of the details memorized. You should have your quick cheat sheet in your pocket at all times or in your purse, and have that quick cheat sheet, but ask the consumer, say, hey, I'd be more than happy to help you with that home. Do you mind if I place you on a brief hold? A brief hold. It's got to be brief. But do you mind if I place you on a brief hold while I gather all the information to tell you all the details about the home? Every time we say that, the customer says, sure. Then you mute the phone. And you may think, why would you mute the phone, Doug? Because the consumer can hear you fumbling, trying to figure it out. And it's kind of embarrassing. I've listened to these calls. We record many just for training purposes, quality purposes, as they say. And oh my gosh, it's so embarrassing when you hear agents fumbling on the phone and all of a sudden these noises come out of your mouth that you don't even realize you're making. Well, let me see here. How do I figure that out? And the consumer can hear you. It doesn't look good. So if you mute them, gather your thoughts, gather the information, unmute them, and come back and say, I'm so sorry to put you on hold. Again, my name is Doug Edrington, and yours was? And they're going to give you at least their first name. Now you have a name to follow up with them because you have their phone number because they called you. If you think about as simple as that sounds, when it comes to role-playing this, to practice this, it will get you more prepared along the way. Now, there's a lot of scripts out there. If you're interested in any of that, feel free to reach out to me, email me, DM me, hit me up. I'd be more than happy to help you out and give you some guidance along the way if this is a challenge for you. But let me do a quick recap. 2 prospecting sessions a day, 2 appointments a day, 1 shadow a day, 1 role play a day. That's 6 events in at least an 8-hour day. But it's your first year in real estate. You're probably working 6 days a week, and you're probably maybe 7, maybe 8 for some of us, it feels like. But you're committed to making the kind of money that 6-figure or higher income, and guess what? It's going to take a lot of work. So yes, you've got to work smart, but you still got to work hard. We're not in a world of easy right now. So I want to challenge you to recognize the fact that we're in a competitive world. The market's a little interesting right now, and you've got to be on your A game. And if you just set a plan of these 6 events a day, I promise you'll hit the success that you want. So I hope this was helpful. I know it was helpful for me to recap, recalibrate, to remind myself and my team of what we have to stay on top of to continue to stay the number 1 team in town, to continue to have the success to provide to our clients at a high level. So I hope this was helpful for you too. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. If you enjoyed this, make sure you hit the bell, hit the heart, give the thumbs up, give us a follow on any channel that you're watching this on or listening to this on the podcast. So appreciate it. We'll talk to you next time.